Hello there. I am meteorologist Lindsay Monroe, and we're already looking ahead at the setup for Tuesday and the potential that we could see some strong storms. So we're going to start with the outlook here. Already, the weather impact alert day going to be issued because the confidence is increasing that we're at least going to see some storms that day that have the potential to reach severe limits. So the latest timeline on this, when do we need to be prepared? It's going to be Tuesday afternoon into Tuesday evening, approximately between about 1 o'clock in the afternoon and 9 o'clock in the evening. Now we could see some thunderstorms firing up ahead of the main line. So we're going to call it perhaps a couple lines of heavy storms that will be possible. As far as the potential threats with these storms, basically all modes of severe weather will be possible. We're primarily watching out for damaging wind gusts, and as we saw a couple of weeks ago, we could get some straight line winds within these lines of storms that could be potentially 65, 75 miles per hour, could do some damage, leading to some isolated power outages, some trees down, things like that. Also could see some large hail, and we're not going to rule out the potential of some rotating storms, especially embedded within the line that will likely develop along that cold front. So as we go between now and Tuesday, I want you to make sure you're really following that forecast closely for the timing, the severity updates, especially since we've got a lot going on Tuesday. We know the Pacers are going to be back for Game 5 at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. We got a lot of outdoor activities. It's a Tuesday after all. So this is just kind of a heads up as we are looking ahead at some of these changes on the horizon. Also, something really important that I want you to keep in mind, there is going to be a required National Weather Service computer system upgrade. Unfortunately, that's going to time out at the exact same timing of this severe potential. This is for central Indiana. It's going to start the outage at 8 o'clock in the morning, the 28th. So that's Monday. That's going to run through at least the 30th. So it's going to take a couple days for the system to get updated. Now, with that being said, this is kind of why we always encourage you to have multiple ways to receive those warnings. With the weather radio being out, National Weather Service office here in Indianapolis still going to be fully staffed. They're still going to be pushing out alerts. They're going to be monitoring this storm system. They've also got the Northern Indiana office on backup. So with that being said, you're still going to be able to get those alerts on your phone if you have the EAS, that's your emergency system, activated on your cell phone. And of course, if you have the WTHR weather app, you can also receive those warnings through there as well. So highly encourage you to just double check the settings on your phone and make sure you've got the WTHR app so that you'll have multiple ways to perhaps receive those warnings should they be issued this upcoming Tuesday. Before we get to that, we've got to build up to it. Your forecast today brings in some warmer temperatures as the wind direction is changing out of the southeast. We had a northerly wind flow yesterday, so it stayed a little cooler. 62 was the high yesterday here in Indy. Today, most of us getting back to more seasonal levels, forecasting high of 68 here in Indy as well as in Shelbyville. We stay quiet tonight into the evening. Sky stays clear. 8:36 for your sunset. Temperatures fall out of the 60s and then eventually back into the 50s. What you're going to notice tomorrow, this is that transitional day. Temperatures will warm up in a really big way. We're going to see plenty of sunshine, a strong wind coming in out of the south. That will take us from 51 Monday morning back to near 80 for a high Monday afternoon. Everybody across the board here in central Indiana getting into the upper 70s, low 80s. So we are talking 15 to about 20 degrees above average. In addition to this much warmer air, we're also going to be talking about it feeling more humid. As we change up that wind direction, it's going to push more moisture into the area. We will be on the outside of that severe threat on Monday across the central part of the state. But the Storm Prediction Center are pretty confident that we're going to see potentially pretty widespread severe weather situation here. This is a level 4 of 5 that's already in effect for places like Minneapolis, over into portions of western Wisconsin, into Iowa. Widespread severe weather potential going to be in that target zone there. Now this extends all the way into northwest Indiana. This is a level 1, so a few stronger storms will be possible here. Believe the timing of this though, by the time it makes its way here, this is going to be an early Tuesday morning type setup. And then as we get into Tuesday afternoon, that's the expansion of this level 2 throughout all of southern, most of central Indiana. Again, that level 2 risk brings in the potential of scattered strong to severe storms. Now, as far as the setup of all of this, we've got to prime the atmosphere for when that cold front moves in for severe storms to develop. So here's what's going to change. Right now, this is our muggy meter, kind of measuring how much moisture is in the atmosphere with our dew point temperature. So with dew points in the 30s basically all day today, that signifies still very dry air in place. So we're not going to notice that humidity factor today. You will start to notice that, though, as we get into Monday. This is 8 o'clock in the evening. Notice dew points now into the low 60s. Really anything 60 or above, you'll notice it feels muggy. And then it gets downright humid with dew point temperatures in the mid 60s. And that's where we're going to be as we get into Tuesday afternoon. And then eventually, as this cold front comes in, it will bring in some drier air. And you can really see that transition zone, warm, moist air in place out ahead of that cooler, drier air on the backside of that frontal boundary. So you can see the collision of the air masses and why this setup here looks pretty good for that storm development to take place Tuesday along that cold front. We're looking at dew point temperatures already up into that muggy zone on Tuesday. Now, once the front comes through, it's not going to be that quick transition to cooler, drier air because the boundary is actually going to stall out to our south and then lift back northward a bit on Wednesday and Thursday. It's going to keep widespread rain around as well as the dew point temperature there near 60 or just above that. So we're going to have a couple muggy and pretty wet days in this upcoming work week. Now let's get you updated on the latest timeline of all of this. This is going to take us to about 7 o'clock in the morning on Tuesday. Keep in mind Monday is going to be a dry day. Could see a couple of isolated storms popping up in advance of the actual frontal system Tuesday afternoon. Let's push this a little farther into the future. These are these isolated storms I was talking about. This is 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Things are going to start to ramp up, I believe, after this, kind of in that 1 to 3 p.m. time frame. The front moves through, stalls out just to our south. So I think we could potentially still see some lingering storm activity through about 9, 10 o'clock at night. But then as this boundary stalls to our south, we're going to see a change of wind direction again and another ripple in the atmosphere kind of lift back northward as we get into Wednesday. So that's why we're once again calling for, while not severe weather on Wednesday, calling for pretty widespread rain, and rain could be heavy at times. So the severe threat comes to an end Tuesday night, but then the rain sticks around. Check out your rain potential here. This is your rain chance for Wednesday into Thursday. Really thinking the potential here, widespread heavy rain will continue off and on throughout the day on Thursday. Eventually, this storm system will finally pull off to the east on Friday, but it's still going to leave some lingering shower activity around, especially during the first part of the day on Friday. And then we'll start to exit. I believe by Saturday, we're going to be looking at a drier and cooler setup, which is very important because, of course, next Saturday we got the big 500 Festival Mini Marathon here in downtown Indy. We'll get to that in the 7-day forecast in just a bit. Real quick, wanted to recap these rain chances as we get you into Wednesday. This is at 10 p.m. Got that area of low pressure that, again, will slowly start to work its way through the state. This is Thursday morning, 7 o'clock. Pretty widespread rain still going to be likely here through Thursday night. And as far as that rain moving out, I still see some of these lingering showers that will continue through the first part of the day on Friday. We've already had a well above average month of April as far as rainfall totals go, and I believe we're going to see a pretty decent amount added onto those totals as we get into Wednesday, Thursday, and then eventually Friday when that moves out. Also, this does include the rain possible within those thunderstorms on Tuesday. That's an additional 1 to perhaps 2, might even see 2.5 inches of rainfall out of that system. Now keep in mind, this is a 4-day rainfall total, but we could still see some significant rain. We've already had pretty saturated grounds, elevated waterways across central Indiana. So we are going to watch out for the potential that we could see some localized flooding to come along with those several days of rain that will be likely here. So that takes us through Thursday. Eventually, we're looking at quiet conditions as we get into next weekend. So there's some improvements there. So if you can, take advantage. For today, 68 and sunny. Much warmer, more humid, 80. Again, Monday is going to be that transitional day. You'll notice the wind starting to pick up. Tuesday is going to be our weather impact alert day for that severe potential, mainly in the early afternoon into the early evening. 82 your high there. Temperatures are actually going to remain somewhat mild as that starts to lift back northward, but also brings pretty widespread rain in Wednesday and Thursday. Lingering showers on Friday, a high of 66, and then eventually a little cooler, but pretty ideal running weather, looking like 43 for mini marathon morning, a high of 62 next Saturday afternoon. Of course, we will be here keeping you updated on any changes with the timeline, the potential here with that severe risk coming up on Tuesday. Make sure to check back on the forecast, WTHR Plus and WTHR.com.